Hello, Mrs. Szentesi's class. My name is Larry Saperstein. I'm a child actor, performer, director, filmmaker. I'm 16 years old. I'm looking at your questions and I'm really excited to answer them. You have some great questions. So let's get right to them. How is school since I've been in a commercial? That's actually a really great question because some people in my school that don't really know me will see me and be like, "Hey, were you in that goldfish commercial?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I was in that goldfish commercial." And then there were some of my friends that, I'm not best friends with them, but I didn't we filmed the commercial over the summer, so I didn't really tell that many people from school that I was in this commercial. So people were coming up to me and they were like, were you in a commercial? Because my mom said that that was you, and I didn't think it was you, and we were all screaming and running around the house saying, that was Larry, that was Larry. So it's great listening to people's stories, listening to what they were doing when they saw the commercial and what their reaction was. It's good to see their faces. And, I have friends saying that I'm famous and all that, but I'm not famous. I was just in one commercial. Um, but yeah, it's definitely fun to listen to what people have to say. Okay, next question. What was it like to be in a TV commercial? Well, it was awesome. It was one of the best experiences, acting experiences that I've ever had in my life. Um, the reason I say that is because when I auditioned, they asked me, "Can you do like some kind of annoying laugh or something?" And I was like, sure. And so I think that the laugh that I did that you heard in the commercial, I know you guys saw the commercial. The laugh that I did in the commercial really helped them visualize their idea of the commercial because I was one of the last people there, and there were a bunch of us, and we were sitting there for like an hour and listening to them talk back and forth. They had a story planned out, but they weren't exactly sure about the specifics. So listening to them talk about the specifics was really amazing. And I think that my laugh that they asked me to do, that I was able to do well, really contributed to their ideas. And I saw when I did it, I saw all of their faces light up. It was like I gave them this brilliant idea, and I think that is the reason why I got the commercial. It wasn't my acting abilities. It was because I kind of showed them what their commercial could be, and that was a really cool feeling. Um, yeah, and just going there, we had to go to New Jersey for a morning. The day that we were there, I forgot some of my papers that I needed. When you go to jobs, you have to fill out papers. So we had to call people to like have them send pictures. Like they have people with keys to our house, like our neighbors. They had to come in and like take pictures of those papers that we needed to give them. That was a rush, but unneeded stress. But it was all amazing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And then, of course, getting to see it on television is the best part. Um, I remember I was sitting with my parents. They told us the day that they were going to start showing it. That day was going to be October 30th. And so we were sitting and we were just watching. We figured maybe it would be on, Cartoon Network or something like that. So we were watching Nickelodeon. And then we got a call from one of our friends saying that they were watching MTV. So we switched over to MTV and started watching MTV for like 2 days straight until we saw the commercial, and that was awesome. That was a cool feeling. So yeah, it was great. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Do I play more than one instrument? If so, which instruments? Okay, well I'm gonna say yes, and this is a technicality. People don't consider singing an instrument, but I do. I consider singing to be an instrument that you have to work on it just like anything else. You learn how to control it. So I play the bass, the string bass, in the orchestra and the jazz band, and then I am also a singer. Also, if you want to get like really technical, I know, the letters on a piano, and I'm in music theory, so we do a little bit of work with that. But no, I can't play the piano, but Yeah, so I would say bass and voice are my two instruments. What are the steps to becoming famous? Well, um, there aren't really steps to becoming famous. I'm not famous. There, steps to becoming an actor. You should start by doing small things in the community, and then, you know, work your way up, build a resume, get a manager, start going on auditions all the time. That's how that works. But even being an actor, you're not guaranteed to be famous. Nowadays, you could get famous by posting a video on the internet. That's what happens with, you know, um, Miranda Sings, or that guy Antoine Dodson, who got famous from nothing. He got famous from doing a news report, and he had such a great personality that people wanted to watch him. So that's the thing. You have to have a personality that people want to watch. You have to be someone that people look forward to seeing. I guess. I mean, I don't really know because I'm not famous. But I think the thing that makes us want to watch famous people is their personality. That, or either they're really talented. Lady Gaga might not have the best personality, but when she was very popular, she was considered a music genius. So it's about having unconventional or original ideas, and being an individual. All right. What is it like being on set for a TV commercial? It is probably the coolest thing. For the goldfish commercial, you saw the corner of one room. That was about an eighth of the entire size of the whole room. Then, on top of that, we used a whole house, a whole big house, a large house, just to film in that 1/8 of the basement. Then on top of that, we used the whole block, the whole street block, to put trucks and food. Um, it was really amazing. You can't walk anywhere without seeing someone doing something. Everyone is just doing their job. Everyone has a specific job. Everyone knows what they're doing. In the commercial that I was in, there were two, three, four, five, 7 people, and there were probably about 50 people that were involved in making the commercial on set. So that's really, really something. And just for a small little area of the room, um, you needed a whole street block to just fill all the stuff, all the equipment for all the people. They had big lights outside shining into the window so that they could make it look like a different time of day. In the room, it kind of looks like mid-afternoon, but we were there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was a gray day, but you wouldn't be able to tell that because it looked like it was bright and sunny. So yeah, so it's definitely amazing to see all the people doing their jobs and see what those jobs are. And for someone like me who asks all these questions, you just have to find. Sometimes people don't want to answer your questions, but you have to find the right person who will answer every single question that you have, who's willing to listen to you. It's usually the people that are like the assistants and don't really have that much to do. Um, so those were the people that I hung out with when I wasn't filming, when the other people were filming, and I just kept asking all these questions, and it was a really great learning experience. It's great. Whenever you're doing something that you have never done before, ask as many questions as possible, because that's the only way you're going to learn about it. Being involved and being there is the way to learn, not by reading about it or doing, looking up videos or something like that. It's only being there. That's the best way to learn anything, in my opinion. So, how long do my plays last? Um, well, okay, so it says how long does one performance last? Well, depending on the show, I've been in shows that last an hour, and I've been in shows that last 3 hours. So that's depending on how the show is written, what the playwright, what the playwright's ideas are, how much he writes, and how fast the actors go, the pacing. You try to make it so that every show runs the same length. You don't want to have a show one night that runs an hour, and the next night it runs an hour and a half. That's not good, because then it's not consistent. Um, in terms of how long am I in a show for, that also depends on the show. Professional shows will have a shorter rehearsal period, but a longer um, performance period. School shows and stuff, school and community theater shows, will have a longer rehearsal period, but only 5 performances. So usually it's about 4 months from beginning to end, and then if I'm in something that's got a longer performance part, sometimes it could be upwards of 6 months. Broadway people who are in shows have been in shows for, some people, I've known people that have been in the same show for 10 years. So it definitely varies. Um, yeah, yeah. Other than being an artist, what sort of job would I want? Well, so I think we're considering filmmaking as an art, so I'm going to rule that out. The other thing that I really love, or that I'm really starting to love, is computer programming. I've been getting into it a little bit, but I think it'd be really cool to like one day design my own iPhone app or something like that. So I'm good. I'm really good in math, so I think that helps with the computer science. Is it scary being on stage? At first, when I've been on stage ever since I was 3 years old, so I'm very very used to it. At first, sure, it was definitely a little nerve wracking, but I remember the first time, the first show that I was ever in. I was 3 years old, and my job was to run on stage and jump into my father's arms, and the first couple of performances, I kind of ran on stage and just, kind of hugged him. By the end of the run, I was running on stage and like throwing my arms out into the air, like because I was just so happy to be doing it. That's really when the fear left me. I was no longer shy about it, and I was willing to, you know, put all thoughts aside. The next step was when I was in fourth grade. I had the opportunity to play Winthrop in the Music Man, not the Sound of Music, the Music Man, and um, I at first I was very shy. I wasn't getting a lot of volume out of my voice, but something just clicked at some point, and all of a sudden I was just able to do it. And those two experiences really just took away all of my nerves of being on stage. Plus experience, things like that. The more you do something, the less nervous it is, the less scary it is, because you're more used to it. You know what to expect. What is my favorite play? Well, my favorite play, I have a lot of favorite plays that I've seen. Phantom of the Opera is amazing. Every time I see a show, it becomes my favorite for a little while. Phantom of the Opera is amazing. Rent is another one that's amazing. The music is great. I would say those are my top two of all time. And a musical called Cats, which is just a spectacle with a lot of dancing and beautiful, beautiful show. Um, Favorite plays that I've been in, I would say I was in Beauty and the Beast, and I got to play Lumiere. That was amazing because Lumiere is my favorite character. He's always been my favorite character, and it was wonderful to kind of learn how to play him in a different way, because I think I was very different from who I was when I was on stage. I was very into the character, and also I was in a show called Spring's Awakening, which is awesome because it was only kids. The entire cast was, everyone was under the age of 19. Um, so that was cool. That was fun because we just bonded, and it was great. What plays have I been in? Okay, well, I've been in 17 or 18 shows in my entire 15 years of life. And I think, let's see. My first show where I had to run into my father's arms was Working. I did a version of Winnie the Pooh. I was in The Music Man 2 times. I was in Miracle on 34th Street 2 times. I was in a show called 13. I was in Oliver 2 times. I was in Beauty and the Beast 2 times. I was in a lot of shows 2 times. Fiddler on the Roof 2 times. Um, yeah, so I've done a lot of classic stuff. As far as plays go, I was in a show called The Shadow Box, which is a great show about. It's very heavy, as in it's dark. It's the material is very very sad. But it's written beautifully. That's actually about a group of people who are all dying of unknown causes, and how they tell their families and how their families react. And then I was also in another play called Spring's Awakening, which is about adolescence and growing up, and that's also a beautifully written show. It's a little on the long side, but that was a great show, and that one was in the city, so that was fun too. What was my biggest role in a show? That's a tricky one. I would say that Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast was probably my biggest role in a show because we did the full length show. I had the opportunity to play Fagin in Oliver, but that was actually at camp, so we did an hour-long version of the show. So, if we did the full length version, maybe that would have been the bigger part. I also played Oliver's understudy, but I never went on for Oliver. So I wouldn't consider that as my biggest part. But yeah, I would say Lumiere probably because we did the full length show, and Lumiere's in almost every scene. Great character, a lot of fun. What inspired me? Well, what inspired me to really join this acting industry was probably two things. First, my parents are both in the industry. My mother is a music teacher, and my father was an actor and director since he was, in his 20s, and he moved to New York City and did all that. The other thing was that I had a best friend who was my neighbor. She lived around the corner, and she started dancing, and she would always talk about dance, and she would always tell me how much fun she was having. So I told my mom that I wanted to dance. I wanted to take dance classes, and once I started it, I was good at it, which was surprising, I guess. Um, and so I kept doing it, and that's so dance was really the first thing that started it, and then that transitioned to everything else that I do now. As far as like what inspires me to make videos or movies or things, it can be anything. I'm in a European history class right now at school, and one of the stories in history about the French Revolution um, inspired me to start writing a script of about the French Revolution, a short film. Um, for my parodies and stuff like that, I listen to pop music, and I take votes. I ask people what their favorite pop song is, what they'd like to hear me parody, um, and then I just go from there. I think of things that bothered me. I'm bothered by a lot of things. I like to try and find solutions, so I try to use my parodies to voice real concerns. Um, they might be just teenage concerns, but they're still concerns in my world. So anything can inspire me. If I really choose to look at something and analyze it, I could be inspired by anything. So yeah, and inspiration is a beautiful thing. Creativity It leads to great works of art. Great works of art come from being inspired by anything. All right, so those are all of your questions. Thank you so much for sending them. I really, really, really enjoyed answering them. If you have any other questions, please feel free to send me any messages. And thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.